Hello, welcome back to Maeve Reads Books. Today I'm actually reviewing something a bit different from what I usually review. I usually review either books like Jacqueline Wilson's, which are kind of like real life stories that can actually happen to people. Well, I guess this is as well. And fantasy books. And it's not like I'm restricted to them two genres. It's just I read them books the most, and so I have more of them books that I can review. But I'm actually reading a book that's like a historical fiction. It's a Michael Morpurgo, and he's a really famous author. And it's called An Eagle in the Snow. Well, it's definitely different from what I usually read, definitely. And I'm just going to be clear. I don't like books like what Michael Morpurgo wrote. The only book close to what I liked was Under the Hawthorn Tree, which is still pretty different. And I just thought overall better than Michael Morpurgo books. And I tried loads of his books. I tried Wreck of the Zanzibar. I tried that, I don't know what it's called, but it was okay. And I was just like, I have to push through these, and I don't really like them. So I didn't read a lot of them because I'm never really forced to read anything unless it's something for school. And usually then our teacher picks out books. Really, the books I'm most forced to are PM readers, which are really short. So like I get them like that. Starlight, which is also 1 page long, so we can read them really fast. They're just like a story that we're asked questions on. And then we do this once a year, one book, which is relatively short. We did Under the Hawthorn Tree last year. We did loads of things like Flat Stanley and Roald Dahl's the other years. So I didn't have a problem with all them books. Maybe a little bit with Flat Stanley. But, I never really was forced to read anything. Maybe I forced myself to read it for a book club or anything, but even that book club, they aren't too pushy at all. But anyways, this I was given to by a friend, and I was actually kind of excited because it looked way more interesting than all the other Michael Morpurgo books. Let me show you the cover. It's got like this weird face. It's got a dog and soldiers and eagle and forest, and you're just like, ooh, that would be cool. If you look at the back, it has a really interesting blurb, and also the powerful new novel from the master storyteller, inspired by the true story of one man who might have stopped World War II. And I was just like, I will give this a go. And I wasn't too sure starting it because I feel like the starting was a bit slow. But then when I got into the story, I literally read it I read it one night, and then I had like this much left and finished that in about a half an hour. They're pretty big, spaced out words. Let me get you a page here. So pretty big words, spaced out words. So if you're like me, you'll read this in one night or one day. Like this will take a few hours if I'm just reading non-stop, but I wasn't reading constantly that night. Anyways, it's a great book. It's a pretty quick read, and is pictures inside it. Like here's a picture. They're a bit sad and melancholy, but still pictures, and I like books with pictures, but I also like books without pictures. I'm kind of talking about what I like in books, but I'm actually going to tell you about the story. It's about World War II. And it's actually, there's a bit started in World War I. It's about this soldier called Billy. And Billy fought in World War I. And he was the bravest soldier by far in the whole army against, I don't know what they were fighting. They call them weird names instead of their proper country. Anyways, he was the bravest, and he didn't do it just for him to get the war over. He did it for the orphans. Loads of kids were orphaned during wars because their parents were killed during the war. And but one time he saw a little girl called Christine, and he saved her. She was dying, and he picked her up, and she brought her to the hospital. And every time he saw a kid like Christine, it just pushed him harder to end the war. So he was definitely a really brave soldier. But one fight, they had won. I think it was Germans. Yeah, I think it was Germans had surrendered. But then this man came out, and obviously he wasn't going to fight them. He was only one man, and Billy didn't shoot him because Billy was a nice guy, and that man turned around and walked away and went home, and Billy didn't think it was a big deal. It's nice to stop shooting people once they're defeated, because it's kind of rude not to. If you ever shot people, I think you should stop once they said you've won, instead of going all over the place. Anyways, so the war ended. Billy was a hero. He had saved so many people. He'd saved soldiers. He went out to the field to get them back and stuff. But then World War II started to happen, and the man who was in charge was a man called Hitler. And Hitler was not a nice man. Nobody really likes Hitler because Hitler was kind of mean. And Billy went with his wife, who was actually Christine, the orphan who he'd saved, because he found her and he married her. So they went to the cinema and they saw, it was kind of like an ad at the start, and it was Hitler, and Billy recognised this man as the man he had stopped and not shot that day ages ago, about 10 years ago, in World War I. So Billy realised he could have stopped this whole war. Oh my God, he could have stopped the whole thing. But he didn't, because he was a nice guy, but now he was really sad. So he decided he was going to kill Hitler, whether it killed him or not. So he waited outside the road that Hitler was going to come down in a different country every single day. He waited and waited until he saw Hitler. But he was distracted because he saw an eagle, and it was snowy. I think it's called an eagle in the snow because it was snowy and there was an eagle, and the eagle distracted him, and he'd never been so close to the eagle. So he drew one because he was a great drawer. But then Hitler started coming, and Hitler's dog, like his guard dog, kind of attacked him. And the soldiers saved him. Like, the soldiers grabbed the dog off him, and they were about to shoot him, but Hitler didn't shoot him because he recognised him. Then Hitler kept walking, and Billy didn't shoot him because you couldn't shoot a man who didn't shoot you, and he had the chance, and you were his enemy. So, definitely, you can't do that. So, that was kind of the ending of the book. Okay, I just want to say something before you go and say, oh, that sounds good, I want to read it. This is not for children, I'd say 10 plus. If you're a good, brave, willful little 9-year-old, maybe. It's scary, it's creepy, it's sad, it's miserable. There's lots about orphans, there's lots about blood. There's stuff about being kind of depressed for a long, long time. It's a really sad book, but it's also really good. So if you think you can deal with things and you're over the age that's kind of like Michael Morpurgo, what he recommends for his books, what the publishers recommend, what the public, and what I recommend, because mine is the most important. Unless you found someone who's even more important, then listen to them. Listen to who you think is right. And if I would definitely not like it. 10, 9 plus, that's all should read this. Don't read this if you're small. Even if you're a really great reader and you're reading Harry Potter at the age of 6, Harry Potter isn't as sad as this, and it's shorter and it's got bigger words, sure, but it's more emotional. It made me sad. But it's also, there's bits where you're just like, that's nice. There wasn't really any funny bits at all. Usually every book is 1 or 2 funny bits. I remember they were meant to be funny, but I don't think there was any bits. This was written fairly recent, 2015 or something, which is only about 10 years ago. Wait, was it? Yeah, 10 years ago, 2015. So, not that long. 10 years seems a long time, but 10 years wasn't actually that long ago compared to how much time there's been in the world. So, definitely, I recommend this to people who like books about, this sounds weird, but people who like sad books. There is people who are just oh, I love a good emotional read. And there's also people who like books about war because they find war interesting. I'm not saying you enjoy the thought of war, but you enjoy books about war. That's what I'm talking about. I don't think anyone enjoys war. Anyways, so it's a great book. It's by Michael Morpurgo. There's gorgeous drawings in them, even if they're a bit sad. I know I've warbled on about this being a sad, sad book, and that's because it is. And I'm not saying it's the most miserable book there's ever written. There's probably a more miserable book, but it is pretty sad. It's very good as well, and there's bits, and it doesn't start with the soldier. It actually starts with a man telling a kid a story to pass the time when the Germans were attacking them during World War II. This was actually given to me by a girl in ballet, my ballet class. I do ballet, and we both love reading and we both adore reading, and she said, I think you'll like this book, and I did. And it was the only Michael Morpurgo book I've ever enjoyed in my whole entire life. And if you don't like Michael Morpurgo, then read this book, because it will make you change your mind, even though some of his books are kind of like not that good. I'm not saying he's a bad author. I have nothing against Michael Morpurgo. I didn't hate any of his books, I just didn't enjoy them. And I'm not saying he's a bad author, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying I don't like his style of writing. I like books that are more adventures, like fantasy stories, or books like Jacqueline Wilson, which are pretty modern as well. Or I like books that are more kind of like in the future, in the now. Like I read old books, like obviously The Secret Garden, which I have right here. I have a podcast on this, me reading this out loud. So. Anyways, it's a absolutely gorgeous story. I'm going to read you the blurb because I just want you to sort of understand. I'm not that great at like explaining the whole thing because I don't like war and I don't like talking about war that much. Unless it's like, oh, no, I don't like talking about war at all. 1940. The train is under attack from German fighters. In the darkness sheltering a railway tunnel, the stranger in the carriage with Barney and his mother tells them a story to pass the time. And what a story! The story of a young man, a young soldier in the trenches of World War I, who, on the spur of the moment, had done what he thought was the right thing. It turned out to have been the worst mistake he could ever make, a mistake he has to put right before it's too late. So that's a great book. This is... Okay, don't worry, there's nothing wrong with me. I haven't tattooed myself. If you've read the book Skandar, which I have, and they're my favourite books in the world, A.S. Stedman, if you're watching this, I love Skandar so much. I feel like someone's gone and died because I can't talk to the characters at all. I can just read about them. I feel like someone's died. I really want. I'm Bobby Bruna, because this is the Hatchery Wound. Also, we drew feathers on my arm. Do you like them? My mum drew them. So that's Michael Morpurgo's An Eagle in the Snow. A great book. I recommend this to... what I said, 9, 10 plus. And you can kind of read them at any age above that, because I think, I'm not an adult, but I think adults would enjoy this as well. I don't know. If you're an adult and you're watching this, which maybe you are, but this isn't. Anyways, if you're an adult, try this book, because I think it's more of a book for adults as well as kids. Anyways, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to my channel, Maeve Reads Books, and listen to all my other videos and watch all my other videos, because I think they're great, but you might not. I'm me, and I just like what I've made. Anyways, thanks for watching. Bye.